So obviously you made these for yourself first, right? Like you needed something for you.
Yeah. So I did, and my daughter was 6 months old when I got started.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like tapering off in the leaking.
Okay.
In the
Yep.
beginning, you'll leak a lot, and then as time goes on, your body adjusts and calibrates and makes more like the appropriate amount of milk, thank God.
Yeah.
Um, and so I made these really thin pads that just absorbed a little and didn't show through my shirt and weren't embarrassing looking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my best friend had a baby around 6 months later, and I gave her our pads, and she came to me and said, "These are just not cutting it.
Oh,
Like, you can't imagine how much I'm leaking." And I didn't know because I was out of that phase and it all goes so fast.
right.
So that's when we started making the overnight pad. And we were the
Ah.
first ones to make like a light and heavy leaking pad, even though that was normal in like menstrual land.
Right.
For menstrual pads, nobody was making two different nursing pads.
Right.
And
Right.
so, believe it or not, that's because I was where I was with my baby when I started the company and where my best friend was 6 months later. We're like, oh, we need a heavy leaking pad. This is
But
crazy. Like, sometimes it's nuts, right?
yes, that's amazing. Like it never would have occurred to me. I mean, honestly, I was just thankful that you had them, right? Like that they were available. But it never occurred to me
Yeah.
to like that. Yeah, like that's so wonderful that she came back to you and was like, "This isn't. I need something better. I need some
Yeah,
heavy
she was like,
duty."
not cutting it. I'm leaking right through this. This is not doing it. And I was giving them to her for free, of course, because
Right.
she's my best friend and neighbor, and she had 30 of them. Well, other people aren't buying that many. They can't just swap them out like that. So
Yeah.
that's when we started making the really one for heavy leaking for those early nursing days, like, the first month, 6 weeks before your body, like I said, gets kind of calibrated to how
Mm-hmm.
much milk it needs to make and everything gets figured out.
Yeah. Well, and then for those of us that have or had oversupplies, I mean, you end up just using those overnight ones for like months and months and months until you really,
Mm-hmm.
and my oversupply lasted about 10 months. So I was using the
Like,
heavy, yeah, yeah, it took a little while. um,
yeah.
so,
Things come and go too. Like you could have a normal amount of leaking or what everything is normal, but a small amount of leaking, then baby starts sleeping through the night
right,
and all of a sudden you have oversupply just
right,
because they're not feeding all the time because they're sleeping.
yes,
And then they go through a growth spurt and they need
yes,
more milk. So you make more milk, you make the same amount of milk, but it all gets used,
yes,
so you don't have as much leaking. And then some people with really low supply have told us they still leak and it drives them crazy because they're trying to save every ounce.
right,
So there are all kinds of scenarios, but you do need a variety of
yes,
solutions. So
yeah,
I think one of the reasons our product took off the way it did and gets the reviews it does is that it was invented by somebody going through these same problems and her best friend,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
rather than, like I said, some old guy just crunching numbers.
Yes. Well, and that's,
So,
I mean, honestly, and I'll talk about this in the separate interview. I mean, the separate video where I'm actually doing a review. But I came to Bamboobies after buying a couple of others, and that's exactly how it felt. Where I put on the other ones, and precisely, you put them on, and you're like, who thought this fabric was a good idea? Like, did they put this on their nipples ever?
no,
Like not even before they're wet. They're just dry out of the
no.
pack. You wash them once, you put them on, and you're like, holy cow, do they hate me? Like,
Yeah.
and at one point I even had to, just out of like desperation, I was on the way to work and I forgot, so I stopped at like a Rite Aid and bought a box of disposable ones. Oh my God. I put those on, and of course I'm, sore. And I just thought, I was like, these are torture devices. I mean, they're just like, I might as well put sandpaper in my shirt. But my point is, and again, I'm going to go through this in the other video. Okay, so these are the heart shaped ones, which are my
The
favorite.
hearts are fun.
The hearts are fun, and they mold so perfectly to your
Yeah.
breast. Like they just, so they go so well under the shirts and they're so invisible. And then here's the round one, and so it's nice, and you can see kind of how thin and flexible they are. And I don't know how well you can see this, but it's super, super soft and
It's
fuzzy.
so soft after you wash it too. It's
Yes.
unbelievable.
Yeah. And so when I opened this up and I felt them, I thought, yes, yes, that's exactly what should be on my body at this point in my life. That was exactly what I thought, where I was like, okay, someone really put some thought into this. Like somebody knows what I'm going through and they made something for me, like for my experience. So thank you for that.
My pleasure. I was in your same spot. I was like, how can this be that there's not a solution? This is a human problem. It's
Yes.
like having your period, like it's universal. Why is there not a better solution? This is crazy.
Yes. So I'm not at all surprised it took off so well. So I'm super happy and excited for your success. Um, and um, and then we'll talk about a few more of your products in a little bit. And I know you just have a bunch of
Yeah.
stuff coming out, and there's a bunch of stuff I'm going to be reviewing that I loved. Um, but before we get to that,